Good morning, guys. A little itchy. All right, so in this video, real quick, I'd like to share with you guys like how high ticket works and why I switched to high ticket. The biggest reason why I switched to high ticket was when I was selling $25 and $50 things. It was very, very difficult to get the amount of sales that I needed every single month to really change my business. I ended up quitting my job, and when I was able to quit my job, it wasn't off of $25 or $50 things. The programs that I had joined and I was successful in, I made, good money, but the amount of money that I was making was not going to free me from what it is that I was doing, right? So I had to switch over and start selling higher ticket things. Now, selling higher ticket things is not any more difficult or harder or requires any more experience than selling low ticket things. It just doesn't. Now, the perception, I guess, is that it may be more difficult to sell a $5,000 thing or a $10,000 or a $15,000 thing, but it's not any harder whatsoever. It's actually easier. The people who you work with are going to be easier to deal with. They're not going to try to refund after 5 minutes. They're actually going to listen to you. It's a lot easier just to sell a higher ticket thing. So I just kind of want to show you the flow of how high ticket works. So you have a small entry offer. You have anywhere from like $7 to $50. Over $50, it becomes a little bit more difficult for cold traffic. That's people you do not know, that you're just meeting through advertising for the first time to actually buy something from you, right? So you want to stick that price point right around $7 to like $49 or $50. 49 converts a little bit better because psychologically when you see the 50, it's kind of a deal, right? It's the same reason why if you go to a restaurant, or the higher ticket restaurants, a lot of times they just have the price where they don't have the money sign right next to it, right? They don't want you to equate the money with the actual food or the price or anything like that. So what we have is an entry-level offer, $7 up to $49, $50. And the next thing that we talk about really is the 80-20 rule. Now, the 80-20 rule says that 80% of your revenue is going to come from 20% of your customer base. So most of the people who buy this initial $7 to $50 aren't going to do anything. They're not going to do anything, and that's absolutely okay. We don't want to get frustrated when other people don't do anything because we go out and we do what we need to do, right? We're producers. So once we have the 80-20 rule and we understand that 80% of the revenue is going to come from 20% of the customers, that 80-20 rule really is a part of all business, right? So it means that 20% of your marketing will produce 80% of your results. Most of the marketing that I do doesn't work. It does not work. It doesn't bring in any customers. I don't make any money. I actually kind of lose money most of the time. That's not a bad thing. It's okay to lose money on the front end, right? It's okay to lose in a lot of campaigns as long as when you do figure out some advertising, you are profitable in it and you can scale that right up, right? You can scale that up to whatever it is that you want to do. For instance, mailing postcards. When I was first started out mailing postcards, I was not profitable on most campaigns, right? There were actually some campaigns where I'd spent like $1,500, $2,000 to mail out postcards, and I didn't make any money. And I was like, oh no, I'm losing, right? But then I had one profitable campaign. That campaign paid for the campaign that I originally did and lost money, and it paid for the campaign that I was doing at that time. And it funded future campaigns, right? So we don't knock it out of the park every single time. Sometimes we, strike out. But when we do knock it out of the park, we have to make sure that it's out of the park enough to where it covers everything that we're doing. Does that make sense? So keep advertising, right? A lot of people, especially with like the postcard stuff, is they mail out 100 postcards and they don't get any sales, and then they're like frustrated. Well, that doesn't really make any sense, because after you mail out like 1,000 postcards, you should be getting anywhere from 5 to 10 sales or something like that, right? It's super itchy. I got this shirt out of the dryer, and you know how like you have that fuzz that's left in the dryer and it like gets all over your shirt. Sorry. So once we realize that we're doing what it is that we're doing and we're sending out this amount of postcards, well, if we're sending out 100 at a time and we need to get to 1,000, it's going to take you 10 weeks if you're spending 100. You're sending 100 postcards at a time. So don't really kind of get an estimation or how things are going until you're like 10 weeks in, until you've mailed at least 1,000 postcards. Now, a lot of people are going to quit before they mail 1,000 postcards because they're not going to see any results and they think the results are not coming, but they are. So when we're mailing out postcards or doing advertising, I want you to understand that most people are going to say no. I've already talked about that, but I just want to reiterate. Most people are not going to join you. Most people are not going to say, hey, take my credit card. I want to sign up. I want to join you in business. They're not going to do it. So it's okay. So the problem lies if you do get a few signups and you're only selling a $25 or a $50 thing, or if you pick something up off of ClickBank and you think that's a great idea, and you send traffic to it and you're like, oh, I got some sales. Well, the problem is your marketing, the back end, right? What I'm about to go into right here, the back end is really where all the money is made. It's not made on the front end. The front end is just to acquire the customer, break even, or slightly lose. Yep, that's right. Lose a little bit of money on the front end because the back end should kick in, right? So after they come in for this $77 to $49, $50, somewhere around there, next what we're going to do is we're going to sell them something in the range of $1,000 to $3,000. That's the next step. Now, a lot of people, when they're setting up their funnels, they stop here, the $7 to $50, and they're done. And that doesn't really work, right? Because they're like, oh, well, I made 10 sales, but it was only $20 a sale, and then, I sent $500 worth of traffic, and they're crying, right? That's because they don't have anything else to sell them, especially if you pick up a ClickBank item. The ClickBank item, the people who are selling on ClickBank, those people who you're selling for are going to sell those people something else once they buy. Right? That's why they can pay you 100% commission or 50% commission. They don't care. They're just trying to acquire the customer. And if I'm going to buy a customer for $20 and that customer lifetime value, right, the value of that customer over the time that they're going to spend with me, if I can make $5,000, I don't mind paying $20 a customer. In fact, in my business, I can pay up to $200, $300 a customer. I can pay $200 or $300 to acquire one person, because that person inside of my business is worth thousands and thousands of dollars. So we have that $1,000 to $3,000 range thing that we're going to sell them. Now, industry-wide, it's about 1 in 7 buy this product, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. That's what's so cool about marketing, and it being a numbers game and statistics and a little bit of math. Not much, a little bit, because I'm not so great at math, but it's really amazing that, statistically, 1 out of 7 is going to buy this $1,000 to $3,000 thing. So when you bring in 7 people or 8 people at the $7 to $49 range and you lose a little bit of money, you make it up right here. 1 out of 7 people, are going to buy this, right? And this should pay for all of your marketing, right? This is a lot of postcards. With $3,000, you can mail a lot of postcards. You can go in a lot of magazines. You can do a lot of solo ads. So the next thing that we have is the $3,000 to $10,000 range. Now, the $3,000 to $10,000 range is really money, right? It's money. It's just icing on the cake because we've already made our money back on the $1,000 to $3,000 range, right? We've already made all the money back. We've paid for the advertising we did, and not only that, we can pay for some advertising going forward, right? Moving forward, we can pay for some advertising, right? $1,000 to $3,000, we can pay for some advertising going forward. So $3,000, $10,000, that's just money in the bank, right? This is pure profit in my business, right? The way I set things up, the way I teach people how to set things up, the way I build funnels out, $3,000 to $10,000, pure profit. That's all yours. That's vacation money. That's I want to get a new car. That's down payments on a new house. That's what all this money is, right? This is open your own salon money, right? That's what this is, right? And I'm in the back of my salon that I've opened up because I made money online, right? Because I learned some things online and I took action, right? So $3,000 to $10,000 is all profit, right? How would it feel if you woke up tomorrow with an extra $9,000, $10,000 in the bank account? Pretty good, right? Because most people aren't making $9,000 or $10,000 a month. Most people aren't making $9,000 or $10,000 every 2 months. So this is life-changing income here. This is life-changing, right? So next, after the $3,000, $10,000 range, and I know what you're thinking, I don't know what I'm going to sell. That's why you join a business that has high-ticket stuff, right? Like the one I'm in. Click the link below. All right. So next we have $10,000 to like $40,000-ish, right? And this is kind of where my funnels end up. So statistically, 1 out of 3 people, right? So 1 out of 7 who buy this $49 thing buy $1,000 to $3,000. 1 out of 5 people who buy the $1,000 to $3,000 usually buy somewhere in the range of $3,000 to $10,000. And 1 out of 3 buy from $10,000 to $40,000, right? And it goes up and up and up, right? the same person who will spend $1 with you will spend proportionately more in relation to the amount of people, right? So if you have one person who spends $1 with you, you have another person who spends $1 with you, that second person may spend $20 with you, or $100 with you, or $300 with you. The next person, you know, he buys at the $7 to $49 level, right? He may spend just that $7, right? He doesn't want to spend any more. Then you get somebody else who spends the $7 who'll spend up to $40,000 with you, right? So you need to build your funnels out, right? And deep. You need to build them really, really deep. So a lot of people have problems building funnels like this, and I understand it was difficult for me in the beginning, but what happens is when I switch businesses, when I switch from selling the $25 to $50 thing, and you know, I started selling things with a higher price point, I actually started making more money with less work, right? I was doing the less work for the more money. If that doesn't excite you, then I don't know what does, because when you're spending money on advertising and you're in magazines and newspapers, solo ads, Facebook, all the other stuff that I talk about, when you're advertising through those marketing modalities, you're bringing in people into your business and you're exposing your business to them, and you don't know who's going to spend what. So you just go out and you recruit and you do exactly everything that I teach, and you end up somewhere around here, right? You have people spending 40 grand with you, and it's, you know, up to $40,000, and it's pretty amazing. So I hope that kind of explained kind of how high ticket works, and really I want you guys to understand that this is real, right? Exactly what I'm drawing out here is exactly how my business works, right? I'm giving you a behind the scenes look at how a funnel works and how I create the income that I do, right? It's not because I'm so great. It's not because I'm special, because I'm not really special at all. But what I do is I go out there and I market and I bring people into a funnel that actually creates this tremendous amount of income for me. So if you're looking to do this or something similar to this, maybe you're not trying to make $10,000 a month or something like that. You just want to make $2 or $3 grand. Well, it's easier to make $2,000 or $3,000 selling a $1,000 to $3,000 product than it is selling all $25 products or $40 products or whatever it is, the low ticket item that you were selling. So I hope that video helped you guys out. And if you're interested in joining me in business and actually learning how I do this and how I bring in customers like this, just click the link below and actually get started. So we'll talk soon.